Chet Holmgren shouldn't win Rookie of the Year. Now, I'm not saying that because he's technically not a rookie, but instead, because of what Victor Wembanyama is doing right now, he easily deserves the award. Now, that's not me saying that Chet isn't performing, because we did see these two go head-to-head last night for only the second time. And although Chet had his moments on Victor, it felt more like Victor was attacking Chet, and Chet was kind of avoiding him. The NBA and all the fans love to push their own narratives of saying that these two are rivals, when in reality, they never ever really say anything about each other. They never even claim that they are a rivalry. They just think that they are two competitors, with it being very obvious that people only think that they are rivals or think that they should be rivals because they are both two very tall, lanky, mobile, I guess, centers, if you want to call him that. Victor isn't really a center, but they both join the league at the same time, and they also both get around the same amount of minutes as well. The only reason why I have to add the minutes part in there is because if I don't say that, Shaq might start thinking that Ball should be in this conversation, and that is just not true. But back to Victor and Chet saying themselves that they do not consider it to be a rivalry, because I fully disagree with that take. Okay, well, maybe it's not a rivalry as of right now, but you could tell that something is brewing there. Going back to just yesterday, here's a couple moments that to me show that Victor wants maybe a little bit of a rivalry. Not really Chet, but Victor wants this for sure. Like right here, after Wemby kind of dunks on Chet, you may not see it at first, but Wemby gives him that little stare down, kind of saying everything that needs to be said. But trust me, it didn't end there, because in the very next possession, Chet Holmgren turns the ball over, in which Victor went over to clap and hype up the crowd, even slapping the ball out of Chet's hands. I mean, you can't see this and not think that there is something cooking here. Now, this next clip doesn't really have any fire to it like the last one did, but I felt like showing it off because this Wemby block is just insane. Sadly, it didn't actually count because of this bootleg ass Dennis Rodman who kept on fouling during the game, but it was a cool block anyways. But this next clip, if the first one didn't convince you that there was going to be a rivalry, that something is cooking here, this next clip will be the one that tells you. Just watch as Victor Wembanyama backs down Chet to get this dunk, with Wemby quickly getting back into defense, which, by the way, some people may think, oh, well, Victor is just trying to, you know, play with some effort and get back into defense. That is not the case at all. Look at the score of this game. Victor does not need to get back into defense. He was only doing this so he could stare down Chet and let him know what he just did. And then just the very next possession, Chet comes in hot and hits Victor with this elbow, which obviously gets called, and Victor is happy about it. Look at him clapping up a storm. Hey, it's editor KingCharge here. I totally forgot to show you guys this failed dunk attempt from Wemby. I mean, he tried taking Chet's soul on this one. So you can put the Rookie of the Year race aside. There is obviously something cooking up here, whether that's just on Wembanyama's part because we haven't really seen much come from Chet. Maybe that's because they are a winning team, and we'll get to that later. But Wembanyama definitely wants some sort of competition here with Chet Holmgren. But let's actually talk about the Rookie of the Year race, okay? Because this was actually one of the two games that we've seen so far with them two, you know, playing against each other, and these games are kind of huge in deciding who really deserves the award. I do want to start off with the side of people that think that Chet Holmgren deserves this year's Rookie of the Year. The way I kind of see it is people think that, you know, OKC is this great team. They're the #1 seed in the Western Conference. Last year, they were a play-in team, and, you know, this year, they are right now the best team in the Western Conference. Like I said, last year, they didn't have Chet, and now they do, and, you know, you obviously see the jump in, you know, team record. Not to mention, Chet's numbers have been great. It is very obvious how big of a boost he has been on this team. Now, for those people who are on that side of this year's Rookie of the Year race, I somewhat agree with you. There is no doubt that Chet has been a huge piece of this OKC Thunder team, but is he the reason why they jumped from a play-in team to the #1 seed in the Western Conference? Fuck no. But it is clear that he has had a huge effect on this team. I mean, his numbers back that up. But to me, I don't think that being the #1 seed or your team jumping that dramatically when it's not really you being the one doing it, solely doing it at least, is what should get you the Rookie of the Year award. I just don't think so. Now, I say this because to me, Rookie of the Year isn't a team-based award. But when looking at something like the MVP trophy, yes, I 100% believe that team success has a huge role in that award. Because being the most valuable player for a team should mean that without that player, they wouldn't be nearly as good. Like, take Joel Embiid, for example, who is 100%, at least in my opinion, going to be this year's MVP. The 76ers without Embiid would be nowhere near where they are right now. That's very obvious. But for Rookie of the Year, that expectation has never been a thing. No one expects the rookie to come in and change the team and make them the #1 seed after being in the lottery. 9 times out of 10, these rookies are placed onto very terrible teams, and that's where Victor Wembanyama is. But instead, Chet is on that 1 time out of 10 that gets put onto to a good team. So it seems weird to me that a guy who is putting up better numbers personally, but playing on a terrible team, is losing to a guy who is putting up around, if not a little bit less of the numbers, and actually got to work out with his team. I know I wasn't going to bring up the fact that he's not an actual rookie, but he did get to work out with his team, and his team got to feel the sense of what it's like to play with him. This Spurs team has no clue how to play with a guy like Victor Wembanyama, and I don't blame them. OKC got their time to train and practice with the guy. And like I said before, the guy was lucky enough to get drafted by a team with MVP talent. That is something that doesn't always happen. Trust me, this entire conversation would be different if the Spurs had Kawhi Leonard or an entire supporting cast that knew how to play with Victor. But trust me, that bootleg ass Dennis Rodman is not one of those guys. So yeah, Rookie of the Year to me should be about personal performance, not your team record or your chances at making the playoffs. But now that you listened to my entire take, I would greatly appreciate if you guys went down and commented your opinion. I love reading and responding to everyone, even if you don't agree with me. Also, since you're already down there, if you could drop a like and subscribe to the channel, that would also be really cool. Liking the video helps push it on the algorithm, and the sub helps boost my ego, so that would be awesome. Thank you guys very much. Hope you guys all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Later.